Welcome to Smiley's. Grab a tumbler glass of whiskey and settle down.
You're going to need that stiff drink today because we are going to be talking about Return of the Crimson Guard, a midpoint check-in. And there are so many storylines that it's going to get a little confusing and rambling. So let's be prepared.
Be warned, we will be doing spoilers for all the books until Return of the Crimson Guard, so Knight of Knives and this book until about the midpoint, chapter 8, I believe.
Yeah.
And we might incorporate spoilers from the Book of the Fallen until about Rebirth Gale. Albeit, I'm not sure that will be necessary.
Right. So thanks, Lee. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to be here. Shall we begin?
So you read Return of the Crimson Guard before.
Yes.
I think you read it along with your main 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm reading this for the first time. And I reached about halfway and I thought, it's too big to finish discussing in a single episode. So,
yes, that it is.
Yeah, so I thought, and there are just 100 things to discuss. So I thought, let's just have a midpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just, consolidate all the stories and see.
Yeah, on your one hand, you have Knight of Knives, which is one night in a single island, and then you have Return of the Crimson Guard, that's like a few months to a year of 4 different continents.
4? Huh? I don't know. I think we went all over who.
I think I counted once. It was like 7 overall in that book. But frankly, I don't remember right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just remember that I had to keep looking up the map because it kept going everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, so I think 2 or 3 are the biggest storylines here. One is about Kyle. The other is all the happenings in Unta with Possum, Laseen, Malik, all of them. The other big story is the Talian League, right? So we have Amaron, Talk, Gelel, and all the rest of them. These are the 3 big storylines which, I feel it's important, and also the rest of the Crimson Guard.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. All the other storylines are slightly smaller, and I'm hoping they're all going to start converging at some point because the things happening in Lehang is sort of the same as what is happening with Talian League. It's like all those things we can take together probably. Do you want to start with the smaller storylines or the bigger ones?
For to start off, you can probably group Kyle with the Crimson Guard, at least for the moment.
Yeah, as soon as I split, I'm going to make them into separate storylines.
Well, they do eventually diverge because, Kyle eventually gets persecuted and exiled sort of from the Guard. But for the time being, the book starts and Kyle is newly inducted into the Crimson Guard and he is essentially, Kyle is the reader's self-insert as the guy that doesn't know anything, and we get to learn about the Guard, which, okay, it's a neat narrative device, right? Because somehow you need to learn about how the Guard works and their systems and their recruits, and because it's not just 1 or 2 recruits, they have inductions, and Kyle is, I believe, of the 3rd induction. We meet Corlo in Midnight Tides, who's from the 2nd induction. We meet the Avowed, which are the original Guard. So there's layers to the Guard, and you need to somehow learn that, and that's the role Kyle plays early in the book. Which leads to some complaints from people. You may have noticed. First of all, there's the name, but we're going to set the name aside because I don't care about the name, honestly.
Do you know people named Kyle?
I don't know any personally, no.
Okay. No, it's completely unheard of in these parts.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, we do have some Christian first names, but not Kyle, not Ian. Right. See, the thing is, we have been spoiled by Malazan, okay? This thing you're describing, that this is a new inductee and we're following his story and learning about all this. This is a known thing. It's just unheard of inside the Malazan books. It's just called a main character. Right? So,
see, I would hesitate to call Kyle a main character. It's like he suffers from new recruit syndrome, where everyone just mocks him and then provides exposition. They tease him, they slap him in the back, and then they say, this is how this works. So, okay, you learn through him.
No, we don't get those things in these books, in this cycle, right?
Wait, yes.
So that's why it's so new for us. That's why we're, sitting up and noticing. Like, even somebody like Kiska, she's never really, explained anything because she already knows how the world works there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is a new thing in the cycle. Okay, and he's from the Bale Plains.
Mm-hmm.
He's a tribesman who worships Father Wind. which is probably something like, Osirk or something, because we see in Guardians of the Moon that Osirk is the sky god, right?
Mm-hmm. The Lord of the Sky, yes.
Yeah, so he worships some Leosan ascendant, basically. Yeah, so when we see Kyle for the first time, he's at this place called the Spur, which is what the guard is trying to attack, and there's a very powerful warlock called Shen. They finally somehow overcome him with the help of a renegade Malazan called Greymane, who we are shown is, he has bent iron bars with his bare hands, to make passage through a tunnel. I don't know if you remember that bit.
What I do remember is there are a couple of mentions of Greymane in the Book of the Fallen until now. One of them is, I think it's Memories of Ice, could be even Guardians of the Moon, where Carlo boasts about how good his swordsmanship skills are and how good he is and how he's never lost a duel. And then Carlo turns around, Brood actually turns around and tells him, well, have you ever fought someone that's actually worthy of being called a swordsman? And among them he lists people like Dasum, Whiskey Jack, Kaz, and Greymane.
Does he?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
So we know that Greymane's above all, among other things, a really good swordsman.
Yeah, but that's okay. He eventually stabs Shen and, breaks the standoff at the Spur.
Which I think Cowl doesn't manage to do, right? Because Cowl tries as well and he fails.
They all try, yeah. Cowl tries, Smokey tries. Nobody's able to attack him, and then Greymane has to actually stab him. Right. So, but then this Shen wakes up some sleeping ascendant.
Mm-hmm.
Who I'm very sure that is Leo Circle, okay? So, this sleeping god is woken up, and Kyle feels conflicted that they're going to kill his god, and tries to save him. And I'm not sure what happens, but okay, this is what I'm guessing. Either Leo Circle blesses his sword or something, or enters the sword, or does something, because now Kyle's sword hand is burnt, and the sword has etchings on both sides. Though Smokey had etched it only on one side, now it is etched on both sides, and then much later on we see Eriko looking at the sword and thinking that it's too powerful for him to wield, right? So after this, the Crimson Guard tell them that their diaspora has ended and they're all headed to Stratum. Stratum? What do you say?
It's Stratum, yeah. So this is about a good time to set the scene, right? Of what happened to the Crimson Guard, because the last time we saw them, they were in Xenobakis doing their own thing. So
we saw them in Midnight Tides, right?
We're going to get to that. So first of all, we have the second company. We have the second company, which is what holds off the Malazans in Xenobakis under Shimmer and presumably Kaz, right?
Okay.
So where we see Cowl, where we see Blues, we see Fingers, all those people that we see in Guardians of the Moon protecting Crocus. Then we have Iron Bars, which is the commander of the Second Blade, 4th Company, under Calbrin, who was shipwrecked on Leather from Assail.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the 4, I believe, companies of the Crimson Guard is in Assail, with one part of that being stranded on Leather and then leaving with, I believe, Sharkalal.
Yeah.
That leaves 2 companies. One of them is the 3rd company that was hired by the Primogenetic's sister in Umrig and was then imprisoned and then left. And then the Primogenetic's like, okay, these guys are demons, we can't deal with them, just let them go.
No.
You saw that in the early part of the book.
Yeah, I think this timeline is a little off, right? Because I believe Iron Bars was imprisoned along with the Sub-20 Avod inside the cave in Umrig for a number of years. And only after getting saved from there, that's when he reaches Leather, is what I thought.
No, Iron Bar's not there.
Oh, that's not the way that happens. I thought he was imprisoned for a very long time. Iron Bars and his small group.
Bars was not in Numrig.
What? That was Bars?
No.
Oh God, see. There are 20 red demons or blood demons imprisoned there, and then they all break out. They all look very pale and all that. And, I was confused thinking they were 4 Pro Laseen or something. And then they all leave. They take over some ship. And, I don't know, so it's very clear. In the sense, it's not mentioned anywhere, but then suddenly we see some guy going on a ship. And there's a raft next to them with some very pale and, people with tattered armor and all. And they come on board. Or rather, they're taken in as, to be sold as slaves. And Iron Bars is obviously too resilient and he doesn't die, and I think he kills the slave master. I'm sorry, are you following?
I am, yes, but that's the guardmen imprisoned on Umrig are a different company than Bars is. Bars gets stranded on Leather, then gets captured by a different ship, and then they fight the Segule later, but that's for later. The 20 red demons that they see in Umrig are a different company of the Vision Guard. They're not Bars'
I was so
company.
sure that was the Umrig gang. Okay, so we have two different groups of Avod roaming around who are too pale-skinned and, trying to hijack ships.
Well, they're
right?
Italians, of course. Most of them are Italians, anyway.
Fine. Oh, I'm really disappointed. I was so sure of this one.
I mean, Bars says he was stranded on Assail, then got to Leather. Why would he be on Umrig?
Does he?
He does, yes. He tells Seren Pedak in Midnight Tides.
No, see, I don't remember Midnight Tides now.
Yeah, take it from me.
I'm just going by what happens in this book, in this first half, and, this is what made the most sense. Okay, it doesn't matter. So...
The point is, there's a lot of guardsmen everywhere. It's not just, they're in Assail, they're in Umrig, they're in Stratum, which is their home base now, they're in Xenobakis, they're in all other places.
Yeah. They all, I think initially they start going to Stratum, and then all of a sudden they leave and they start moving towards, I don't know, Pontali? I think they try to go to Tali at the end of this.
When the diaspora ends and they gather in Stratum and then they go to Twantali, yes.
And that's when they meet Skinner, who has, I don't know, he's gone somewhat crazy. He's lost time or something, and he says that Ardata is his new patron. Yeah, can I just say, I don't know how off I am, but the whole Crimson Guard thing, obviously they're extremely badass, extremely, awesome to follow. But they're somewhat ridiculous too, right? They're not... They're sort of, I don't know, I find them somewhat funny also, because they do really silly things. You remember the scene where Skinner and Cowell, I think, they walk through some water, the light water.
Yeah, they beat some Leosin up.
Yeah, and they just go and they just do some nonsense for the sake of it, right? I don't know, I find them sort of silly, because they're too overpowered, so I think they don't really care about consequences.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's well, of course they beat them up because they're our brother Jorud from House of Chains. So of course they find them and beat them up because they're like...
those four Laseen, right, yeah.
I will say, Skinner and Cowell, for one, Skinner, you have Shimmer, right? You have Bars, you have Kaz. Kaz is his real name, okay?
Kaz hasn't come yet.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is Skinner is not Skinner's real name. That's a nickname. You don't get a nickname like Skinner by being a nice guy.
Oh.
Yeah. And people look at him and he feels different. He feels different to all the guardsmen. And he's more than a little cruel and a bit insane, maybe. I don't think he's insane. I think he's a great swordsman, but he's also very cruel. Cowell, on the other hand, is one of the best assassins. Because we know that he dueled Dancer a lot. And Dancer gave him his scars that he has. We know that he has the veils, which is the equivalent of the claw or the talon in the Crimson Guard. Mm-hmm. He's also a mage, a very powerful mage. I think in Guardians of the Moon he buffets Silana, which pisses off Rake. Rake is genuinely pissed at Cowell because Cowell could manage to beat back Silana. He also duels Tyshren. Later he meets Tyshren in this book, and then they have a back and forth. It's really cryptic because if Tyshren is actually there,
because Tate is out of it, he's out of the game.
Yeah, because if Tyshren is genuinely present, Cowell can probably kill him. But he's not, and Cowell knows this. And
was it Cowell or Fingers or who? The one who killed one of the Tystandi in Guardians of the Moon? Serat, I think.
Cowell killed Serat, yes. Yeah, Cowell did.
Was it Cowell? Okay.
Actually, was it? Wait.
I'm not sure. It was Blues or Fingers or something.
I think Cowell told her to fuck off, and she did, and then she went back and someone else killed her. Because I remember the scene. It was like he put a knife to her back, and he said like
regards of the prince.
Regards of the prince, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The point is, Cowell is very good at a lot of different things. He's as good as Dancer is, as good as Tyshren is at magery and assassination. And he's also creepy, creepy as hell, because not only does he have scars, he's also very cool and detached all the time. And he's also arrogant, extremely arrogant, to the point of ridicule. When he walks into Tyshren and finds him, and it's like, okay, are you going to fight me, or are you going to step aside? And then Tyshren starts going off on like rants about power and stuff. And then I was like, "You're boring me. Can you please step aside so I can move on and kill your the Empress or something?"
Yeah.
Tyson specifically says, "Do you know what the price of attainment of absolute power is, Cowl?" And then Cowl responds to, "What of the what?" Because he doesn't care about this kind of thing. Unlike Tyson, which we've seen is interested in this stuff from Night of Knives, with Oleg, transubstantiation or whatever.
No, Tyson is an academic mage. These guys are assassin mages.
He's not necessarily academic.
Sort of. He does war and theories and he tries to learn stuff and all that.
Cowl, on the other hand, doesn't seem to care, except for when it specifies he replies out of rote that he's out of habit when he's asked something about warrants. He's bored, but he's also a good enough mage to know these things.
Yeah.
That's the difference between Cowl and Tyson. Go on, please.
Yeah. Who else did you find interesting in the Crimson Guard?
I personally quite like... I think everyone likes Bars. I don't think that's really a contest.
Yeah, Bars. Bars is amazing, yeah.
And I'm quite partial to Shimmer, but Shimmer in Return of the Crimson Guard...
Shimmer hasn't done much.
Isn't very well. Oh, she is the commander of the second company, right? She is the commander of a whole company, more than Bars is. She's the commander of Blues, Fingers, Cowl. Cowl is under Shimmer, technically.
Right, okay.
So, Shimmer is pretty important.
Oh, I didn't catch that Shimmer was a woman initially.
Well, to be fair, she doesn't have many features that define her. So she's Napan and Canese. She's half blue, half Apsala. She has a whip sword. She
has long shimmering hair. That's why she's Shimmer.
And I think if you think of a woman protagonist, you have the tomboy, which is like Tavo, for example, which cuts her hair very short.
How was Tower a tomboy? I hate these terms.
Okay, fine. The protagonist...
She is not feminine, okay? Do you want to say that?
That's what I'm getting at. The protagonist has rejected femininity and she cut her hair short and stuff. And then you have the contrary of Lostara, for example, who is quite feminine.
Yeah.
Especially in how she treats Pearl and her relationship with Pearl.
Yeah.
Shimmer falls between that. She's not as much feminine as Lostara, I don't think, because she doesn't have time to deal with romantic stuff when, But she also experiences a lot more of these feelings than Tafo seems to exhibit.
I haven't seen any of those things with Shimmer yet at this point in the story. All I've seen her do is she's part of the invasion of Unta.
Right.
She goes up to the palace and all that and then gets holed up in some tavern and then they make the mantlet and escape. Yeah?
Is there no POV of Shimmer yet?
I'm not sure. I mean, there is a POV when they're escaping Unta. Mm-hmm. They make the mantlet, right? With all these huge tables and doors and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And they escape. That's all she does.
Right. Okay. Never mind. Anyway, so I like Shimmer for reasons you'll see later.
Right, okay.
But I think everyone likes Bars.
I like Iron Bars all the way from Midnight Tides.
Bars obviously does a few things in this book.
Oh, yeah. He kills some Segule and, refuses a challenge of another Segule. So
the Segule appear, right, on his ship. Some guy tries to pull off a hidden blade and gets killed immediately before even a blink of an eye. Okay? The Segule, especially in this book, have a reputation. They're fierce. They're important. And then in comes this Segule who talks to Bars and challenges him to duel. And Bars is like, okay, I'm going to have to fight you, but if I win, you're going to leave me alone. And then he kills the Segule. And then we learn that, in fact, the Segule he killed was like 1,000th.
Yeah.
And then Oru is the 20th. And it's like, holy shit, wait a second. And Avowed, that we've seen kick a lot of ass in Midnight Tides, has that much trouble to kill a Segule of that low rank.
Yeah.
That is excellent show don't tell.
Yeah. Can we just talk about show don't tell 1 minute?
Sure.
Yeah, do you remember the preface of Gardens of the Moon? What does Erickson tell us? That he's going to drop us into the story and he's not going to hold our hands and...
Ambitions to the dirty war, dried with balls, yes. Go for the throat.
Yes. So he just warns us that, you're not going to get much of a tell. It's all going to be show.
And then Cam drops you and goes like, here. Here's the world.
Yeah, there is no preface. That's what I'm trying to say. So Esselmont is like a step ahead. We are absolutely lost. We just have to figure everything out on our own. So, by the way, I still don't believe you about the Umrig Crimson Guard.
Okay, fine. Just wait. It's going.
I'm going to read and let's see the next recording.
So, we do know from this book, you said earlier that Kaz doesn't appear, right?
Not yet, not by name, so don't spoil it.
I'm not spoiling anything. I just want to highlight that the diaspora is ending, but the Duke isn't here. So we know why they went on the diaspora as well, because the Malazans invaded Stratum with 40,000 troops, and Dassam, and Tyson, and Dancer. And Skinner fought Dassam to a standstill, and then they repelled the Malazans from Stratum, right?
Yeah.
But they had taken too many casualties. So Kaz ordered the diaspora to preserve the guard.
Right.
So, presumably, Kaz would be the one to end it and call everyone back. But he doesn't because he's not here.
So who called them back? Is that a mystery?
I mean, I don't think it's a mystery if you look a bit further, but...
Yeah, is it Skinner? Because that's where they go and find him.
I believe Skinner did, yes. I believe it was Skinner. And the question is, what ulterior motive does Skinner have? Why now?
I think, does he want to join the Italian League? Because ultimately his, all their fight is against the Malazan Empire. And Empire is having a tough time right now, so...
Right, but...
Maybe that's why they're all meeting up now.
Okay, consider the vow. What does the vow of the Crimson Guard say? They have sworn eternal opposition to the Malazan Empire, and from what we know, it's going on for over 100 years.
Yeah, depending on who you ask.
The Italian League wants to replace Laseen, not destroy the Empire. You have Urko, who says to Vitel in the beginning that Laseen doesn't understand how the machine we have built must run. And then Vitel counters like, yeah, but didn't she build that machine as well? And it's like, yeah, I didn't say it was easy.
Yeah, so I'm thinking the Crimson Guard is like against all of them, right?
Obviously.
So they're not exactly trying to help the Italian League, but they know that there is something going on. It's like a convergence, right? So they both fight each other, they both get weakened, and then Crimson Guard swoops in and kills all of them. But, what do they do once the Empire is gone? Do they just disappear?
Excellent question.
Okay, carry on.
Think about this for a bit. What did they do after the Empire disappears?
Yeah, I did. They have nothing to go on. They're just like the Tlanimas, right? So they just, basically, once their vow is fulfilled, I think they just...
You mentioned the Tlanimas. Is the Tlanimas' vow fulfilled? Is the ritual successful? Have they vanquished all the Jaghut?
Obviously not. They're extremely similar, both of these groups. I actually found it a little odd that in this one series, we have two different groups of people who, give up their whole life and flesh and blood to uphold some nonsense promise, We have the Tlanimas and the Crimson Guard, and I'm not sure why exactly they're doing all this, but and both of them have a similar arc, right? Because we see in Memories of Ice that the Tlanimas realize that they don't need to fight the Jaghut anymore. They're not the only enemy. And here we see, basically, even in Unta, when Shimmer and the rest of them come and try to, liberate Unta from Laseen, they see that the citizens don't care about them. They're basically laughed at and so they are no longer relevant.
Yeah, we see that the Crimson Guard is basically used as a way to scare people. Like, oh, the Crimson Guard's going to return.
Yeah.
And, it happens every year when their morale is low. And when it happens for real, nobody actually seems to care. Cool, whatever. We have plague, famine, insurrection. Who cares?
And that was that was Shimmer's POV actually, when she looks at them and thinks that, why are the citizens not, not cheering for us? Yeah. And shall we just finish off the Untan invasion because that's when the army gets blown up.
Go on.
Yeah, so we see that Cartheron Crust has... Sorry, this is going to make me laugh. His ship lands, and the next thing we see is one of the ship guys is riding a wagon back to the harbor. And inside the wagon, they see that there are dozens of munitions. And then the armory gets blown up. And the next day, I think Laseen and the rest of them go and inspect it. And Laseen is shocked that the explosion is much smaller than what they expected. Because somebody has stolen everything from the armory, and then the next day, Cartheron is left. Ragstopper has gone. So they just stolen everything they could under cover of this Crimson Guard invasion, and when everyone is busy, and they've taken away half the munitions. And on the other hand, they also have Moranth with them. Arco Crest is collaborating with the Moranth, right? So I think they have a lot of resources, the Italian League.
So I want to touch on a few things because, as some of you may know, I have opinions on this.
Are we going to tackle Laseen right now? Shall we keep it for the next 1 hour?
I do want to mention that you said something about a convergence earlier. And if you look at it, it is a very artificial convergence.
Mm-hmm. Unlike the organic, homegrown, artisanal convergences we see.
Okay, are you sassing me right now? Is that what's going on?
Obviously, yeah. What do you mean by artificial convergence?
I mean, because, okay, in general, you have this notion of power drawing power in Malazan. This is not what happens here. There is no power being drawn and then suddenly bad. It's Malik. It's Malik that compels Mael to speed up the secessionists and the Crimson Guard so they arrive at the same time, or about the same time.
See, but what is the predisposing factor for that? It's Laseen. Go one step back. Laseen is the powerful one here. And these old guard want to take away that power. So that is still power draws power, right?
Yeah, but it's not... If you look at the time in which they arrive, right, the journey from Stratham to Quintale takes months. They arrive in a few weeks. Without war and travel. They just go by boat.
That's fine. They're just using whatever means they have. But the point is, it is still a convergence. It's not an artificial or a... Now, think about the convergences we see in, say, Toll the Hounds.
Spoilers.
Oh, sorry. Okay, think about some convergence in some other book.
Memories of Ice, for example, right?
I'm not sure. Everyone reaches at the right time.
Which is what happens here. Everyone reaches at the same time because of Malik and Mael, right?
So, are you calling Memories of Ice as an artificial convergence?
No.
No.
They have whatever means they have, but the thing is, imagine if Brood's army in Memories of Ice was 2 months away, and suddenly something happened, and suddenly they arrive in 2 weeks. That's what's going on here. That's what I mean.
It shouldn't matter, right? How does it matter?
It doesn't matter. What I mean is someone's orchestrating this. Right. Artificial in the sense that it doesn't happen organically. Homegrown, non-GMO, like you said. But someone is orchestrating this, is using this as a means to advance their own power. Not necessarily because something is going on and there will be a big battle and suddenly everyone wants a piece of the pie. Because that's not what's happening here. Everyone is converging here for different reasons, and someone else is ushering them forward, like what we see Shadowthrone do often, or Cotillion in Heart of Chains. Malik is playing that role here.
Yeah, so...
Of ushering people forward to achieve a certain goal. He has set up contingencies, because that's what Malik does. Contingencies. We see Coil. We see Taya. We see Orson, I think. The mage bodyguard. What's his name?
Not sure.
Anyway, he has agents, and then he has Taya, he has God damn it. There's a witch he goes to visit that's supposedly a storyteller, and then he tells her you should spread rumors of the Crimson Guard returning, right? And then he goes on to compel Mael. So someone is taking advantage of everything going on for their own goals, even if those goals don't necessarily align with the goals of the other sisters. Because Malik is not going to stand for the Italian League taking over the Empire. He's going to do the same thing he's doing to Laseen, to them. He's going to infiltrate their command, and he's going to try to get power for himself. The Crimson Guard doesn't care about Malik, because the Crimson Guard just wants to destroy the Empire. And we have no reason to believe that Malik wants to destroy the Empire.
Yeah.
Mael even comments on this, that someone's eventually going to get you, and I wonder who's going to get you first. And then Malik replies that it's a sign of success when everyone wants you dead, or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can see that there is a force behind this. And I think, which I found hilarious, in one of Malik's monologues, he considers that everything is happening too easily. Everything is going too well. And he wonders about if something is going on, and then he thinks about him. Something that he names as him, which presumably is Shadowthrone.
Yeah, I've heard this theory.
And he dispels that thought, like, no, that can't be happening. Hang on, I'm gonna find it. Yeah, so, it says, okay, the name of the bodyguard's apparently Orion, not Orson. I don't know who Orson is. He says in his monologue in chapter, I think this is chapter 2 or something, he says, it was almost as if the fates had woven the pattern for him to trace all the way to ... Malik stopped suddenly, almost tripping himself and those next to him within the flow of bodies. He thought of the old woman's rantings, the gods meddling? Him? No, it couldn't be. None would dare. He was his own man. No one led him. And then he goes on to have a talk with Mael.
Okay.
Because he wants to make sure that no one is actually meddling with him. I'm not saying Shadowthrone is using him. Well, Tamber is in the Bone Hunters. Tamber says that the hand moving him is unseen. That someone is using Malik. I don't think anyone is using Malik, but the fact that he thinks so seems to showcase that someone, perhaps other than Malik, above Malik, wants these things happening and is helping him somehow. Now, on top of all this, with or without a god's help, we see that Malik has done a lot of things already himself. He is the spokesman of the Imperial Assembly. He has Taya arranged an accident for another spokesperson from Khan, I think.
Yeah, he's going around double-crossing the assembly and then takes over the whole thing.
Yes. He has Coil, right? Coil, who is, I believe, a handmaster, I think, a little claw, in his payroll. He has a lot of...
So, just a second.
Yeah, go on.
We see long back that Arco Crust, when he's talking to the Moranth, he mentions that they have a claw traitor. Is that Coil?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure. Don't tell me it's Possum or Topper or something. It's fine. Okay. Well, let's leave it.
Okay.
It can't be Possum. No way.
I don't know.
Right. So yeah. Yeah, so once all this happens, right? Once the city is blown up and all, I think that's when Laseen decides that she's going to start marching west. She's going to Leheg. And she leaves behind Malik. Now, I think we discussed this before. Who blew up the armory? My theory is Malik, obviously. What is your theory?
Catherine. Because he robbed half the armory, then the armory inconspicuously blew up. And then he's gone. But I don't know.
I suspect Malik because he turns up the next day with a, bandaged head and something. So, I thought he was just faking it to push suspicion away from him. So, he must have done something. That's okay. I don't think that is answered at all, right?
I don't remember. I don't think it matters.
Yeah, so, I think these are one of the things that people might find frustrating with Esselmont. Because obviously the answer doesn't matter, but, you'd still like to know that this was definitely done by this guy and not that guy. And it doesn't matter, right? So, we are all over the place. Do you realize that?
I do, yes. There's a lot of places that we visit. We haven't even touched on, like, travel in Nereko.
Yeah, let's go to Ototaral Mines for a minute. Shall
Excellent. Take it away. I don't remember anything from that storyline.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So, we are at the pit, okay? And it's full of mages. And I think the top mage right there is someone called Ho.
Ho is centered by Kiranfade, and Yathangar is a Falad. Was.
Oh, is it? Right. So these are the guys there. And 2 new people arrive.
Grief and Treat, yes.
And they're called Grief and Treat. Yeah, they're lovely names. So they start being all sort of mysterious and all that. And they're doing something. They're in communication with someone outside Ototaral, but we are not sure how exactly they're able to use magic inside the Ototaral island. And then they suggest that, we're going to escape and we'll make sure that all of you can escape with us. They offer all the mages that they can escape. But Ho turns them down because he has something going on. They're doing some research in the Ototaral. And yeah, I think that's extremely interesting. I want to know, what exactly these mages are doing that they can't leave the island even if they're given the option. So that is done. At 50%, this is what we know. Shall I finish the Imperial Warren?
I would ask you, who do you think Grief and Treat are? Have you any theories?
Don't tell me it's P and D.
It's not P and D.
Are you supposed to know who these guys are?
Yeah, I'm just asking for theories. Are they just random people? Are they just some mages? Are they important?
They're not mages because, I don't think they're mages. They actually explicitly discuss it that, they're not mages and Ho overhears it. But they sit and make spears with stones. I don't know. I just thought they're some random guys. But they are part of the Crimson Guard. I'm sure of that. Because they talk about the Brethren at one point.
I'm not going to answer anything. I was asking.
Yeah, we're stopping there and we're going to the Imperial Warren.
Okay.
Right, so we have some crazy guy roaming around the Imperial Warren killing people.
Ragman.
I love Ragman and...
Ragman's an amazing name.
Yeah, he has other names too.
All of which basically means performer or clown or some sort, right? He thinks of himself... He said the first line he says he thought of himself as a Ragman now, right? And if you look up his other name, which is Tattered Demelian, I think, it means a person in tattered clothing. So
my theory, I don't think it has any it's standing now. But my theory is that that is the prince.
Kaz?
Yeah. No, right?
Well, okay. I will say Ragman apparently uses Kural Gallane at some point, so maybe not.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. We have, at least I have no idea what Kaz is capable of.
That is true. That is fair.
The thing is, he is, sort of waiting around for Cow. He thinks of that at one point. That he's in the Imperial Warren and he's waiting for Cow.
Kaz? Kaz is waiting for Cow. Okay.
Yeah, Kaz, do you mean Ragman?
Okay, yeah, excuse me. Ragman or Tazar the Melian or what is her name? Yeah, he calls him, when the woman inquires of him, he says he's a fragment of bureaucratic oversight, which is just the best thing.
Oversight, yeah.
I love that.
I know. Oh, I so want him to be the prince. Doesn't matter, but he's an extremely interesting guy, and I'm just waiting to see what he does.
So, I will say a couple of things about Ragman. First of all, he calls himself a fragment of bureaucratic oversight, like we said. I don't think Kaz would identify himself as a fragment of bureaucratic oversight, which, like I said, is an amazing name.
He's gone crazy. He might be calling himself that, I'm not going to judge him.
The prince apparently also uses Kural Gallane, that is the anti-Kural Warren of Elder Darkness. Interesting. And,
are you? No, you stop it now.
Ragman also describes the woman's fighting style as familiar, as his, and she says that her father taught her.
This is some old guard guy who's lost.
One of the prevalent theories I've seen about this being that...
Wait, just 1 minute.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, are there still only theories? We still don't know for sure, even at the end of this book?
I have no idea who the woman is.
No, not the woman. Forget the woman, but Ragman.
I cannot tell you, but I don't know who the woman is.
Right. Go on. Oh, I'm disappointed that it's not the prince.
I can't tell you if it's the prince. Maybe it is the prince. I'm just highlighting certain things that might...
Yeah, you're just laughing at the theory, so let's move on.
So there's a theory that says that his style, which Ragman describes, is dances.
Yeah, because she is using shadow, right?
I believe she's a shadow dancer, yes, yeah. So that's my theory, that the girl is some shadow dancer.
Mentions that she learned it from her father. I don't know, the only other father-daughter we see in that old guard is Dassam and his daughter, but obviously that makes no sense here.
So we know Ragman is so important, or rather so prevalent and so destructive, that he has essentially cut off the Imperial Warren from use for everyone, right? So to circle back to chapter 2, or chapter 1, I don't remember, the first time we see Possum. Mm-hmm. Possum asks Laseen about the Imperial Warren and what they're going to do about it, because he says he's heard rumors in the Claw that people are dying because there's a demon in there or something. And then Laseen just straight up flatly denies him and says, I am not sending any more people into that abyss. So, for all Claw in Laseen's employ, the Imperial Warren is shut down completely.
Right.
Which is important, because that's one thing that they cannot use with the Crimson Guard running rampant in their home turf, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty important. Other thing is, we already highlighted Coil, but there's not just Coil, there's a lot of other. He said the Claw traitor in the employ of the Talon League, and there's also Amoran, who is an ex-Talon commander, for that matter. He's not just a Talon. And he might be commanding, he's head of intelligence, I think, is what he's described as, right? And he might have some agents of his that could potentially access the Imperial Warren and, be a problem. Which leads us back to the Talon League, because we've not discussed Jalel at all, who I believe is pronounced Jalel.
Gelel.
I think Ian pronounces it Jalel, I think.
Right, okay, the audiobook said Gelel. Right. Anyway, she is a small-time, she believes she's a small-time orphan from some far off, I'm not sure what she thinks of herself, but then all of a sudden she's told that she is the next successor to the Talion throne, and so she's going to be the figurehead, and the entire army is going to march behind her, and they start taking her away from, I'm not sure where she starts from.
Kontali.
Kontali, that's the whole continent.
Kontali, the city.
Right. So she's taken all the way to Leeheim, At 50%, she has reached Liheng, and part of her journey is under disguise, which is a shit disguise if you ask me. I don't think anyone was trying to preserve her disguise or anything.
Mm-hmm.
She has Mulk with her, and please tell me I can ship these two.
Mulk and Jalel? I'm not gonna tell you. Isn't Mulk old?
Yeah, I don't know. They have excellent chemistry. I don't know about their ages, but they're very good together. And Mulk is he's not as dumb as this girl thinks, because, she's sort of spoiled and protected and sheltered and all that, even though she's good with a sword apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, these two meet up with what do you call those people? Some sentries, marchland sentries. Yeah, she takes up another name called Trevo Stalin and meets Marcus.
And Marcus is just an asshole, and I think we can both agree on that.
What?
No? Really?
Why? What does he do? He's a poet. He's nice to her. What did he do?
Nothing yet, apparently. I didn't like him from the start, but,
He's old and grey and I don't know. He doesn't do much, but then he talks nicely to her. They go riding through the Seti plains and, he's quite nice to her. And he's my theory number 2 for the prince. Yeah, you're not going to tell me anything. We're just going to continue.
Alright, so I think at two different... Actually, I don't think you're there yet, but at 2 different points in the book, he's described as having short grey hair and black curly hair at a different point. So... Oh, I just noticed the grey hair. I don't know about the black curly hair. He's a poet, and he's a marquis, so he's a noble, and he's...
Not yet an asshole. So
okay, he's not an asshole, fine. He's okay, alright, fine. What's interesting about Jalel is, first of all, no one asked her. Absolutely no one, right? It starts off, her family's been taken away by some Fist Khalil, I think, in Kuntali because Laseen's orders, because dissent, which makes sense if you know the context, in that there is internal dissent and a lot of people are starting to defect and turn over, and there's eventually secession. But if you look at it from purely Jalel's perspective, suddenly one day her parents are being taken away. Why? Because the Empress said so. Cool. And then she's rescued, I guess, by Quinn. Right?
Yeah.
Who takes her to Chos.
Yeah.
And we know Chos from Iron Knives. He was the face of the Third Army. And ostensibly Old Guard. And I think he's supposed to be dead by this point.
See, in the Return of the Crimson Guard, I'm just seeing that nobody is dead. None of the old guards died.
No one of the old guard actually died. Not a single one. Nobody.
And because we are reading, I'm reading House of Chains now, I realize that even Hall was not dead.
Yes. Everyone just survived.
So the only 2 people dead are Shadowthrone and Cotillion.
And Janul and Janelle now, but that's 15 years after, no, 10 years.
Yeah, they start dying only now, right? I'm sure by the end of it, half the old guard is going to actually die.
Yeah, that's what talk, right? So
I don't see Talk the Elder surviving this book. I don't see Chos and Amaron.
Since we're doing spoilers for Reaper's Gale, right? Hood actually tells Talk that his father lives.
Yeah.
At the end of that book. What else is there to talk about? The Italian League is Civil War. Fun. Civil War is great. I like Civil War. I love Civil War.
It's hardly Civil War, because it's the way it's all set up. What happens is Amaron, Chos, and all the Malazans, they've all come to Liheng. They have all the city tribes and the Atamans and all the other fellows. The plan is to take Liheng and make sure that these tribes are, sort of tied into them, so that when they start marching east against Laseen, these guys will have no choice but to join them. So for now, it's just Malazan versus Malazan. So even though Chos and the others wanted to take both the inner wall and the outer wall, it doesn't happen because obviously we have heroes inside like Shaky and Hurl and Storo and Silk. We have all the good guys inside. So that was a great chapter. The Siege of Liheng, all the betrayal and all that. I think it was really well written. I enjoyed it a lot. Shaky, I think, commits suicide. And Rel, I believe. Rel holds the inner gate, and so they're all saved, basically. Do they use munitions? Yeah, I think they have munitions and all.
Sunny, I think, is a sapper. There's a sapper among them.
Sunny is dead by that time. It's Shaky. Shaky
I don't
has
remember who the name is.
Shaky,
I don't remember
right?
the name.
Shaky, yeah. He has a some homemade beast, and then he basically suicides the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they can't save the outer wall. Actually, when this is happening, Silk is not inside inside the city. He's going around trying to get some other people to join them.
These other people being Anne and a few others, right? 2 others? Oh, Liz. Yeah, Liz is a mage from... So, ostensibly, Silk was part of the... He was a citizen of Lee Heng before the Empire, right?
Yeah, he was part of the Protectress's group or something.
And the Protectress is probably dead because Kellen fed.
Not Kellenwood, Dancer.
Point is, she's dead. Probably. I actually don't know because that's tackled in Path Ascendancy and I haven't read those books. But
yeah, I think I've told you this.
Mm-hmm.
I told you my theory. I don't believe the Protectress is dead because Relandras is not dead. And they're both described in the same way, that Dancer came and killed them and all that. I don't know, something about the wording was very similar. So I thought, for sure Relandras is not dead. So maybe the Protectress is also not dead.
So I think Throatslitter from the Bone Hunters in Deeper Scale recounts the tale of the fall of Lee Heng, that allegedly the Tlane Mask went into the city, climbed the palace, and then killed the Protectress.
What?
That's the legend.
But that's not what happens according to this book.
According to this book, I don't actually know, but the thing is, the Protectors might or might not be dead, but in any case, Lee Heng is now part of the Malasan Empire. But Silk was a member of the Protectors' host of mages, and he's guilty about it. He feels guilty about the Protectors. He feels guilty about the city falling.
Yeah.
And he's angry. He's genuinely angry at the end. When he unveils Kurat Liozan, he's pissed as fuck.
Oh, that was an amazing scene. Yeah.
He's so angry.
Oh, do you have the quote?
So he goes, I summon you. His words shook the stones beneath Hurl's feet. She winced at their power. Come, you who have been gone so long. Grant us a glimpse of that which has gone out from the world. Show us how it was when light first cleaved night. Bless us with a vision of pure, undiluted light, Kurat Liozan. And then it just erupts.
Yeah.
Like, the world just erupts and hits everyone. And then Hurl just gets stuck unconscious.
I think all of them, pass out basically.
And then it's gone. First of all, Silk is the first person that we actually see, I think, that uses an Elder Warren while not being affiliated with those elders. Because usually, Kural Demorlan and Kural Galain and Kural Liozan were only available to those of Tisteblood.
I just assumed that Silk is probably some Liozan.
I don't think
that he's a normal human person. Yeah, because you're telling me, I was just thinking he's a Liozan. Because he has some other mysterious things going on. Liz has a history with him. And, people treat him differently. So.
Mm-hmm. But the point is, there's also, he finds Liz. So.
Okay, so they get betrayed from inside and that's how.
And the fist dies.
Part of Lee Heng falls. Who dies?
Rena, the fist of Lee Heng, is killed.
Oh, Rena dies long back, before all this
starts. There is betrayal already. And then Storo, I think, is acting fist, and then they get betrayed again.
Yes.
So
can we set aside Lee Heng for now?
One more thing I'd like to tackle is Silk, and Silk says he knows a way into the city, and then one says like this better not be a shitty idea, and they walk through the sewers to get into them.
That type of writing, I think Excellent is excellent because it was extremely disgusting to read. Yeah. it just goes on and on, Yeah. So that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Shall we leave Lee Heng and go to the Wiccan Plains?
Sure. So in the Wiccan Plains, we meet my favorite character, probably my favorite at least. Okay, it's Relish. It's Relish.
Yeah, Relish and Cord. I like both of them.
I don't remember Cord.
Oh, because actually it starts with, only Cord. And it's only from the dramatists that I realized that Cord is only the second and he's reporting to Relish.
Mm-hmm.
These are the small things that Esselmon does, which, it's a sort of a challenge. You only see Cord protecting the young Wiccan children.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
From all these land grabbing guys. And then the next scene you see, it starts off with Relish. And if you've not seen the dramatics, you have no idea who Relish is and why suddenly Cord there and talking to him.
One thing I wanted to highlight about Cord, and I mentioned him. There was a scene in which Cord and his patrol find, because this is after the Bone Hunters, where we have a pogrom against the Wiccans of like 10,000 Malasan people, soldiers and peasants, headed to the Wiccan plains to slaughter people. And Cord's patrol happens upon one of those, and then he invokes Malasan military law and says, your victim, whom you raped, is going to be granted trial by combat.
No.
No?
That's not the way it happens. He says something like he's going to arrest him or something, something normal. But then she invokes the Wiccan law.
Oh, okay.
So it's the Wiccan law which says that she can fight him.
The point is, she slashes and dices him in 10 breaths.
They have to drag her away from the dead body, basically. Yeah. Oh, I didn't really want to touch upon this child rape scene at all.
It's not good, but you see that
it was kick-ass. Obviously, it was kick-ass.
But... Not just kick-ass. It's like you see that these people, Cord Squad and Relish Squad, have integrity. They're not the type of people to go into the Wiccan play and start killing fools.
You like that expression a lot.
I like saying killing fools. Yes, not necessarily because they're fools. It sounds cool. Anyway, you believe it a lot more when Relish actually goes on to defect to the Wiccans, because you see what happens, what the Malasan say to the Wiccans. And we also see our old favourites, Neil, Nether, and Coltane, apparently.
I thought that was Sormo.
I didn't remember it was Coltane either. Honestly, I didn't remember.
Oh. No, because the scene when Nil and Nether come, they see the toddler boy. I knew it was some reborn warlock, but then they come and they meet him and they're so happy with him. I really thought that was Sormo, because in House of Chains, they are desperately trying to contact Sormo. I was hoping Sormo comes back. So anyway, we have Coltane, which is not bad. And did you notice that the caretaker of Coltane is some old lady? Probably somebody like the Maib, who has aged too rapidly.
I did not actually... I don't remember most of this, to be honest. I just remember...
Yeah, it just a throwaway thing that, after Relish reports to Coltane and joins his Wiccan army, then the Coltane child sleeps. And then the old woman takes him inside the tent and she tells him that apparently the boy tell them to turn the swords or something like that. Nobody is sure what is the meaning of this, but that's what the boy keeps telling them just before he falls asleep. So anyway, that because it was an old lady with this newborn child, I thought that was something like the Maib. And I'm pretty sure this is not addressed again. So yeah, so are we done with the Wiccans?
I'll take your word for it. I mean, not much happens with the Wiccans quite yet.
Whatever happens amazingly, because they are inside the Wiccan fort, the frontier fort, and they have to escape the siege. And all the old Wiccans, they basically sacrifice themselves and open a path of blood for Relish and some of the Malasans and the rest of the Wiccan children. And then they go and meet Temul. We forgot Temul. Yeah, and do you remember the plan? The plan is for Temul is going to lead the defenses, and Nil, Nether, Coltane, and Relish, all of them are going to go lead an offensive war against Unta. Which, I don't know, it sounds sort of... I'm not sure that they're capable of doing something like that. Let's see. It's Relish, so who knows?
I mean...
I noticed one small thing that, when Jalel meets Urko, he has like buckets of stones and then he shows us some fossils. It looks like fossils. Is it just, just to tell us that he's the keeper?
It's a nod to keeper, I think so, yeah.
I don't think it's significant.
I mean, I don't remember that, so probably not.
Yeah, so he just hands us some fossils and asks whether it looks pretty or something. Yeah, the Dalian League are being opposed by this one guy called the Wildman or Boar or someone. And Captain Moss goes to meet him. And he figures out that this looks like some Malasan veteran. So at this point, who else is left in the old guard? I don't know.
There's obviously Talk.
No. Talk is with the Seti. I'm asking which Malasan veteran is the Wildman? Oh, you're going to list out all the old guard. Yeah, go on.
So there's Talk, there's Urko, there's Amaran, there's Cartherin, but we know who that is.
They're all accounted for.
Knock Hall is dead. Dassam's dead.
Dassam's dead. What are we even...
Actually, we learned from Jenna and from Leoman that he's alive. Whether or not you believe that. Whether or not you believe Jenna is debatable. but you can probably believe Lehman.
We see Dasam here. What are you talking about?
Dasam Ulto. The first sword. He's presumed dead, and then we learn from Jenna, who tells Tempa he's alive, and...
I'm trying to find out who is the wild man. Keep going.
Tempa, but we know it's not Tempa.
Is Temper part of the old guard?
No.
So anyway, doesn't matter. That's another mystery. Forget it.
I'm not going to tell you who the wild man is, just...
Oh, you remember who is the wild man?
Yes, of course I remember who the wild man is.
You don't remember... Do you remember who the ragman is?
Yes. They're both important, by the way. Both the wild man and ragman are important.
Right, okay.
You know who they are. You've seen them before.
Oh my god, stop. Don't say such things.
But you don't know who they are at this point in time.
No.
And no, the wild man's not the prince. Before you ask. Okay. So you mentioned Captain Moss, right?
Yeah.
I think?
Yeah, Captain Moss.
What do you think of Moss?
Moss has done nothing so far, so I don't think anything of him.
Mm-hmm.
He found the wild man and said hi.
He's Tok's aide, right? He's working for Tok?
Oh yeah, Moss was the adjutant or something to Chaz. No, to Amaran. I'm getting confused because the names rhyme, so...
I don't remember.
Is Moss important? Does he do something significant?
I won't tell you. I can't tell you.
Okay, I think we don't have any more things. We've been avoiding her for too long. No, we have one more thing.
We have traveled another Dereko before we get there.
Yeah. So Traveler. Amazing Traveler with equally amazing Eriko. Friend to Traveler. Traveler. So the thing is they have this long journey, right? They start somewhere. Yeah?
Would you say they're traveling?
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Wow. Thank you for that. Thank you. So they journey south, right?
South from Corel, because they were both prisoners in the storm wall, right?
Yeah, so that's what we find out. We see their flashback and how exactly they meet. Eriko has been shackled to the storm wall for many years, and then they see this new Malazan traveler coming there and getting shackled. But he does something odd. I think he talks to the riders and the riders leave him alone or something, isn't it?
And he's also attuned to the Queen of Dreams, to Trace.
Yeah, so Eriko is told by this enchantress that he is going to be your deliverer and so, help him escape. So he helps him escape and they go far away from the storm wall and all that. And then I think Traveler wakes up and tells him, I'm sorry, we have to go back. Do you know why? Because he forgot his sword.
That reminds me of a fiddler in Gods of the Moon. That he just left his sword in a puddle.
Ah, yeah.
And then Dujak, and Whiskey Jack tells him, go get it back. And he goes back, and then he leaves it again. And then Dujak's like, that guy's hopeless. So that's what that reminds me of.
Yeah, no, it's like, this guy has taken so much effort. Eriko takes so much effort to save him from the storm wall, and they reach somewhere far away, and then they have to go back all the way just to get the sword. So, and I think at one point Eriko compares Kyle's sword with Vengeance. We know it, right, from House of Chains. The Traveler has got this sword.
Yeah.
So after House of Chains, from Drift Valley, he goes all the way to Coral. He's captured.
Which is, it's not very far, to be fair.
See. Yeah.
Corel is directly south of Drift Valley, but yes.
I don't walk around with a map in my head, okay? Do you have the exact numbers? Do you know how many leagues far away it is?
I can count if you want.
Do you think I want that?
No, it's not too far, but it's far. It's far enough.
It doesn't matter. Oh, why don't you let me tell my story?
Yes, sorry, excuse me.
So he goes all the way to Coral. He gets captured. He's put on the storm wall, and then Eriko helps him, and these two start going somewhere else. I'm not sure what is the plan. Obviously, he's just looking for food. So they start going, and they reach some small fishing village. There is a deck reading there, and I'm not going to do any of the deck readings now because obviously nothing makes sense to me. Nothing. I'm not going to get into that. Do you want to get into that?
I want to get into something before that. If you remember, when they first make it to Stratum in that village, they are attacked by Edur.
Yes.
And the Edur have a Letheri slave who forbids the Edur from killing Eriko because he's the ancient one and he's sacrosanct.
Is Sorrow Letheri?
Yes. I mean, she's an Edur slave. The slave to the Edur.
Is it? I just thought she was one more. So Sorrow is a legendary slave, which is news to me. And I think that reaction was a little odd. She sees Traveler and I don't know, all of a sudden she falls to her feet and falls to her knees, and starts crying.
She calls him the revealed one. She calls Traveler that.
Yeah.
And then she begs him for his guidance.
Yeah. And he tells her to go back.
And then Eriko asks Traveler, like, should we let her live? And Traveler's like, something must be witnessed. Because, and what she should do, because she's asking for guidance, right? And she says, I will return to my people, and all the ancient lies will be cast down. I will bring this new truth to them. And then Traveler says, no. You're not doing that, because you're gonna die. They're gonna kill you out of hand.
Yeah.
So instead, Traveler tells her to travel north, to Corel. To conclude the Eriko and Traveler thing for now, it's another case of show and tell, right? Because you could say Traveler's a great swordsman, and look at him. Instead, we don't see that. We see Eriko watch him be shackled and beaten to the champion of the Stormwall, who is like the best fighter in the Stormwall. And then when Eriko escapes with him, because he is told by his goddess that he's his destiny, we know from House of Chains, right, that Traveler's a very good swordsman, because we're told so, and has vengeance, and he's Malazan, and Catalian and Shalathor know him, or whatever. Here, we don't get that. We don't get Eriko saying, oh, I know this guy, because Catalian and Shalathor know him. Who the fuck are those? He doesn't know those people. He doesn't care about those people. What he sees is a prisoner who is really good at fighting riders, and that his goddess tells him that is his destiny.
Yeah.
So they escape together. And rather than Traveler telling Eriko, you know what, actually I am the revealed one. Right? I am pretty important, actually. He hides his identity.
Yeah.
For one, he's changed his name, because we don't know of a guy named Traveler among the, obviously. But more than that, Sorrow identifies him as some sort of deity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And she says he will go spread his word. And Eriko is staggered by this. He's dumbfounded by this. His companion's like this powerful, this important.
Yeah.
And the fact that we see this from Eriko's point of view, who is already old as hell. Like, he's really old.
As old as the mountains, is what Kyle thinks.
He's old as the mountains. He's old. He remembers the Zakud War firsthand. And he sees Traveler and he's dumbfounded by his power. That is really good show don't tell.
Yeah.
Because we know Traveler can kick ass. We know Traveler can kill Ito. We've already seen him do it before. It doesn't matter. This is much better, I think, than just showing him kill more Ito or more raiders or more Stratum or more Corelry or more riders or whatever.
Yeah, it's just a different style, and I don't have any issue with this style. No, I'm just saying that it took some effort though. So I think we have the most important part. We have Laseen and Possum.
We'll get to that.
What else do we have?
Well, there's also Kyle.
Yeah, I told you already. They meet up and then they start going to Dolmens, and it's
fine. We can talk about Laseen. Fine.
Oh no! Let's talk about Kyle. Come on. I think then Kyle starts dreaming Leo Circle and Anamandaris. Remember that?
Don't remember that, no. But
yeah, Kyle is sleeping on the ship, and I have a suspicion that Eriko is the one who's making them all sleep well. And in his dreams, he sees Leo Circle trying to damage this crystal from this small house, and Anamandar comes and stops him and tells him, like, it's a child. Don't hurt a child. And this house is Shadow House, and it's proof of accord between our realms, so don't hurt it. And then they start walking together. And then the Queen of Dreams comes to Kyle and leads him away from there and tells him that this is just, just lingering memories. So don't pay attention to it. And then when they're walking away, he turns back and looks. And next to the Shadow House, you see a strange figure with one long sword and ragged armor. So obviously that's Edgewalker, right?
Probably.
It has to be.
I don't know.
So we have something called the Myth Fragment. Okay. And in that, I think... What? That is how the book begins.
Oh, the prologue. Oh, yeah. I don't remember the prologue at all. I don't even know if that's important later. I honestly didn't understand anything of the prologue.
Oh, it's very nice. So you see Draconis and Leo Circle fighting. Okay? So they just say if one must rise, the other must fall and something. and there's a newcomer who comes in between and tells them, then agree that this be so and name it done. And then both the houses start tearing apart the stranger, and thus was Shadow born.
Yes.
Yeah, so Shadow was born, and that's the first great sundering. So that is my theory, that is Edgewalker.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Well, we have mentioned this before, but in the prologue, Leostrical has tasks.
Okay.
Which he doesn't in anywhere else in the Book of the Fallen that I know of. So that's interesting.
Okay, I think we're done talking about the first half of Return of the Crimson Guard. Do you want to wind up?
Are we not going to talk about Possum and Laseen? Are we not? Are you trying?
Oh, that would be such a crime, Lee.
Yeah, right?
I know.
Okay, do you want me to talk about Laseen or not? Like, honestly.
Obviously, I want to talk about her because, man, she was amazing.
Okay.
So, I'll just tell you the scene which I found extremely good. Because till then we have not seen Laseen do much of anything, She's just walking around and talking to people and people getting angry with her and, we haven't really seen her do something. And this is the first time we see her kicking ass, basically. So, you remember when all this invasion happens and the AWOD are roaming around the streets and killing people left and right. We see everything through Possum's POV, right? Mm-hmm. So we see... Mm-hmm. He's trying to kill some of the Crimson Guard and he gets hurt and I think he passes out. And when he wakes up, he's on some elevated position. And from there he sees one huge armored helmed AWOD guy with one broken arm fighting with a female claw. Okay, and he has no clue who this claw is because he doesn't recognize her. He knows it's not somebody under him. And he's just about to, try to find out. And he's stopped by somebody holding a knife to his neck. And we are not told anything about any of these things. We're just told that some woman holds a knife to his neck and just tells him that, let's see what she has. And they both watch this unidentified female claw who is barefoot basically kill this AWOD with just her bare hands. So she spin kicks him and breaks his neck and that's it, right? And Possum is extremely impressed and he tries to call her, but she runs away. And immediately after that, we see another woman with short hair come and examine this dead body and go away. And the second woman, the one who was holding a knife to his neck, she says some strange language and she opens some warren and disappears. Right? So this took me about half a day and to figure out. The third woman is obviously Kiska, the one with short hair. Because immediately the next scene she goes and tells Taisharan that this is the one, I saw one female claw stalk and kill all his AWOD. And she guesses that it must be Laseen. The second woman, the one who opened some unknown warren, that is obviously Taya. So that took me a while. And Kiska also mentions that she sees this very powerful mage opening warrens which she doesn't identify. So do you want to tell me what you thought when you saw Laseen going around being a claw?
We don't know it's Laseen. Okay, I'm dropping that.
We know already. Yeah?
Okay, we know it's Laseen. Fine, it's Laseen.
It's like in the next page, Kiska tells Station that she thinks.
Okay, it's Laseen. Alright. To be fully frank with you, when I first read it on the Criminal Guard, I was not particularly impressed. Because, first of all, I didn't like Laseen at the time. And second of all,
surprise.
I was never particularly doubting that Laseen had the ability to kick some ass.
No, it's not about doubting because, she just didn't have the opportunity. She's the Empress. Why is she going to go dirty her hands on the streets? She has Possum to do that for her.
I suppose she had Topper before, which we now know is gone. We talk about this. The Possum disappeared. Pearl is dead. Kalam is, for all intents and purposes, dead.
Pearl is dead. Oh, don't remind me, please.
Sorry. Yeah. But yeah, Possum is basically the last claw master that she had available. So she has to resort to going and kicking ass herself.
Yeah.
So at the time, I wasn't particularly impressed because, okay, cool, the scene's kicking ass, great, excellent.
Oh, that was an amazing scene. How could you not be impressed with that? I don't know, I must have read it like 5 times because I liked it so much.
But anyway, back to the more important stuff. First of all, the book more or less starts off with Laseen executing a fool, and essentially she has put the entire country in lockdown. The entire empire, all of the continent basically, not the entire empire. Because I think at some point it's mentioned that Nock is not available in this book because he's off doing things in the 7 cities.
Yeah.
So we have the Empress, we have First Sword Korvoladom, we have High Fist Anand, which is the fist of the 4th Army, we have Possum, the Clawmaster, and the High Mage Havagulin.
I say Anand because, I have friends named Anand.
Is it actually? There is like a chess player named Anand.
Yeah, Vishwanath Anand, yeah.
Is it Anand?
Yeah.
So, High Fist Anand. Okay. Alright, well, anyways.
Sorry to distract you.
I didn't actually know that. Okay.
But yeah, please continue. I'm very sorry.
So
there's Possum, there's Corbolo the First Sword, who is... You can't say Corbolo without calling him an idiot.
Corbolo is an idiot. Okay, come and get us like Corbolo is an idiot. And Laseen knows this, and Malik knows this, and everyone knows this. He wants to be called the First Sword and parade around in high fist regalia, and everyone just lets him because he's an idiot. Okay?
Yeah.
So Anand looks at him with disgust. Laseen just talks him down. He tells him genuinely to shut up because Dasam essentially led his commanders and his underlings discuss tactics and strategy. There's Hava, who is the last High Mage the Empire has available because Tyson is not to be counted on, and we saw that later.
Sorry, I just meant is Tyson on some drugs or something? Why is he gone?
I don't think he's on drugs. No,
it's like he's on a bender. He's just sitting around buying these plants from Gift Valley and trying to teach Kiska that this is an insectivorous plant and all that. Okay, I'm very sorry for distracting you.
Thank you for letting me talk about Laseen, by the way. Yeah, okay. What was I saying?
That Laseen knows that Corbolo is an idiot.
Yeah, Corbolo is an idiot, and we know that. Malik knows that. Everyone knows that. He wants to parade around with High Fist Regalia and talk about like how he's hot shit and the best in the pan to come out of nap in the last 80 years. He can do that if he wants. We don't care. We have more important things to do. One thing that Possum notes is that Malik is very insidious. He doesn't draw attention to himself, but he always seems to get what he wants, even the meetings between, the high command.
Yeah.
Corbolo doesn't do that. Corbolo flares up all the time. He says, but Empress, we can just attack head on and kill the Avowed, which we've been trying to do for 100 years now.
Yeah, we can't have a council of very subtle villains, right? There has to be one idiot villain also.
There's also Possum, whose loyalty is apparently put into question because you mentioned that he could be a traitor earlier.
I didn't mention that. I said he should not be the traitor, but then I don't know any other named Claw yet, so... Apart from Coil.
There's also Anand, which we talked about, who's the high fist, and has been for a while. And there's Hava, yeah?
Isn't Anand from the old guard, sort of?
I don't know, but I think he's a fairly old commander, probably from Kennevid's times, so probably.
I don't know. He and Laseen and all have some banter about their old times or something. Not sure. Not important.
And the best mage that Laseen could come up with is the Imperial Librarian.
Yeah.
Imperial Archivist, apparently, Havagulin, who Possum engages, and I think he says, the old Emperor must be laughing his grave or something.
Yeah,
because of how far the Emperor has fallen. But he also says that Hava's Mokra is a lot better than his.
Okay. Well, there's just one part where Hava thinks to herself about Laseen.
Mm-hmm.
And, they basically hate her guts. Like, Laseen is too isolated and she doesn't, take people into confidence, and that sort of annoys Hava. There's a long, big paragraph about that, and she says that if only Laseen had let us in, I would be able to tell her about the conspiracy going on around her, which I assume is Malik. But then because she's so closed off, that Hava doesn't feel like helping her. Do you remember?
Consider Laseen's position in this book.
Yeah.
Okay. She's lost Kalam. She's lost Pearl. She's lost Topper. She has Possum. She's lost Tyson. She's lost Tavo and Entire 14th. She's lost... She
has just Possum. She has nobody else.
What else?
Can we just agree?
She's lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
And suddenly, there are reports of dissidents. And some say, Anand, I think, says that regiments are coming out of Canis or Malazan, something like that.
Yeah. They start guessing that this old Seti warlord is Tok the Elder and all that.
Mm-hmm. And that's also, in the beginning of the book, Janul Zanel, a tyrant of the lands of Nfala, who led open revolt against the Empire and was killed. And I think Possum even says it took a lot of resources to take down Janul. So this is not the first revolt or civil war Laseen has faced. It's not like the Thalian League is novel. They're just the biggest threat so far. And if you recall, right after Possum kills Janelle, Laseen comes and finds him, and she says something along the lines of, I didn't think you'd kill her so easily. I didn't think she'd give up so easily. I thought we understood each other.
Yeah. She feels betrayed,
She feels betrayed, yes, exactly. And one thing that stands out to me, because I'm me, your minds may vary. Your minds for sure will vary, but I'm me, okay? When Urko says she does not understand how the machine we've built must run, Urko left. Urko drowned. Urko was not there to help her.
Yeah.
Urko did not help her run the machine they've built together.
Yeah.
And now he thinks he can do it better. Okay, maybe he can. Honestly, maybe he can. But the point is, he's been gone for 15 odd years, and suddenly he's back and says, like, you know what, you're doing this wrong. Is Laseen not justified in saying, you should have been there for me, you should have helped me?
If you ask me, these things happen because people are not perfect. So.
Oh no, absolutely.
Even if Laseen was doing a great job, and if Malik was out of this question, there's really no guarantee that the old guard would still be happy. If they hate her, if they dislike her so much, they're going to find fault and try to take away the kingdom from her. Whereas she already has all these other issues going on. She has Malik trying to, rile up the citizenry and causing all this instability there. And so the old guard feels responsible. So they feel they have to step in and, take Laseen out of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure because, for one thing, what we see is basically Laseen has already been vilified. From the beginning, there are so many things against her. All the even that Wiccan plains, those land grabbers who come and kill all the Wiccan children and all that, they say that it is under Laseen's command. Laseen has told that anyone who wants to farm can take over the Wiccan lands and farm them.
And I think it was at some point Malik visits some shopkeeper guy.
Yeah.
And shopkeeper gives him some trinkets from like the demon Coltane or something. And then he says, thank the Empress for dealing with this plague that is the Wiccans. So this is a very real threat, right? Like the Empire is facing famine. So Laseen has essentially vilified the Wiccans, and first of all to appease Malik, which is one thing, because I think it's Malik's plan to kill the Wiccans. Laseen merely found a way out with this because that's how Laseen thinks. Laseen thinks in terms of empire. I don't need the Wiccans. Kellenved needed the Wiccans. Kellenved made a deal with the Wiccans. I never made such a deal. I'm the Empress. I need the Empire to be good. I need that land. I'm gonna kill the Wiccans. If there appeases Malik Rel, that's great. Could I find another solution? Yes. Can I find another solution? No, because Malik Rel's there. But it's not like she's gonna cry over the Wiccans, right? So she is cold. She is, in some sense, doing evil acts to maintain the Empire. And in a sense, Urko is right, that she doesn't understand how the Empire they built must run, right? What I don't like is the fact that he's so haughty about it, so self-righteous about it, like, we're gonna do it better. We weren't there for 12 years. We left her to her own devices, but we're gonna do it better.
That isn't really surprising.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, people walk away and then when everything falls apart, they decide that, I could have done a better job.
Mm-hmm.
Because Laseen was the one who stayed back. She was the one who took over everything. Mm-hmm. But now, I just want to ask you, with this argument you just told me about Wiccans, and is she going to cry over them and all that?
Absolutely not.
I'm what? Yeah, I'm not. I'm just so curious to read your essay now.
In my essays, I take a lot less subjective view. I argue that, for one, I still believe Malik is to blame for the Wiccans being destroyed. If the Wiccans were on neutral soil, I believe they would have just bought the land. Just said, okay, we need land to farm. We have money. We're going to give you money for the land to farm to prevent famine. But now, because Malik has spread rumors that the Wiccans are bad, and there's revolt, and there's famine, Laseen says, okay, we have the Wiccans, but most of them died during the Chain of Dogs, so it's mostly elders or women or children, which can't farm, so they can't produce food for us. And the general populace also views them as villains, as traitors, as bad. while I would love to have an alternative because the Wiccans are genuinely useful for her, they are a useful regiment. Kelvin used them for a whole lot of things. I can sacrifice them for the good of the Empire. And she does. She's not going to weep for them because she's not going to weep for Tavor. She's not going to weep for Kalam. She's not going to weep for Pearl or Topper because that's not what Laseen does. But I do think if another way was possible, she would have used it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that because I'm not able to correlate how exactly you try to defend this type of an empress. It's one thing to just blame everything on Malik, but that takes away from her initiative. Like, did she just let everything happen as a puppet? I don't think so.
Okay, what could Laseen do? Ask yourself, what could Laseen do? With the knowledge we have from the Bone Hunters and Reaper Scale and from the Crystal Guard, what could Laseen do?
No, my objection is directly from Bone Hunters. Why did she let Malik and Corvolo and all the rest of them, after their huge big betrayals, why are they back with her? Why are they back in Unta? Why haven't they been executed immediately?
Are we gonna derail this conversation so I can talk about... I'm completely fine with this, by the way. I'm just asking you.
I asked the question. Go on.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So, at the end of the Bone Hunters, right? Well, before the end of the Bone Hunters, Laseen is short on everything. There is plague in 7 cities. She has lost her commander in Dujek. She has lost her army in one outpost because Ganos took it. She has the 14th coming in. She has rumors spreading that there are traitors in the Wiccans. So she needs someone, she needs something to help her. She needs a commander. Who's the only commander available? Corvola Dom. We're gonna appoint Corvola Dom for now. Until either Tavor returns, I can find a replacement, or I can lead the armies myself. And Corvola Dom wants to be called the First Sword, and Corvola Dom wants to be a whatever. Give him the First Sword title, I'm gonna run the armies, it's gonna be fine. Malik Rel, from his time in Dead Cascades, in Aren, has been infiltrating the Claw. Malik Rel has instigated the Aren slaughter. Malik Rel has killed 10,000 troops, essentially, in correlation with Corvola Dom. Malik Rel has orchestrated him being kicked out by Shaikh's camp and heads back to Aren. Malik Rel is arrested in Aren. Malik Rel is sent back to Unta. So, Malik's in Unta, in chains.
Yeah.
And Laseen is faced with a conundrum. So, she has nothing. She has 7 cities that is absolutely in ruin, in plague, rebellion, fire. She has nothing. She has no commanders. She has no administrators. She has no food. She probably has no money. She might have money, but I don't actually know. I conjecture that she doesn't have money. But anyway. And she sees in Malik a capable administrator that is dangerous. He is dangerous because he has infiltrated the Claw. And Laseen doesn't know how much he's infiltrated. That's the important bit. If she knew that he had like 10 agents out of 600, nobody cares. Kill him.
Yeah.
But he could have more than that. He could have way more than that. And because of the nature of how the Claw works, the organization essentially, first of all, is corrupt. Okay, we know that. Laseen knows that. Topper's gone. Pearl is...
Sort of gone.
And Laseen can't know at this point how much Malik has infiltrated. Because of the way the Claw works in that hands are semi-autonomous. Units of 5 in the Claw don't necessarily have to report back to the Clawmaster because they can just lie and say, yeah, we're loyal to the Empress. What are you going to do? Are you going to check individually every single hand in the Empire? No. So all Malik has to do is infiltrate 1 hand at a time, 5 claws, and he has his cult, his black glove. Laseen doesn't know how much he's infiltrated. In the Bone Hunters, I don't think it's very much. I think it's a considerable amount. I think it's enough to scare Laseen. So she finds a third way. She can either bend over to all of Malik's demands, which she doesn't do. She can have him executed and risk being assassinated, or face civil war, or she can use Malik. In the Bone Hunters, she even says that Malik is a capable administrator, which he is, right? That's not false. He is. He essentially ran all of 7 cities because Portpel's fucking useless.
Yeah.
Now you might say, oh, but if she knew Malik Rel and Corvola Dom are to blame for the slaughter in 7 cities, why would she allow them to be part of her cabinet? And the answer is AP actually, digression. AP actually brings up Operation Paperclip in this, which was an allied operation to rescue Nazi scientists in World War II. I'm not going to bring that up, but it's an interesting analogy. The general point being made here is even in real life, governments or empires use people they know to be, quote-unquote, not trustworthy to fulfill their own needs. Laseen doesn't need to trust Malik because Laseen doesn't trust anyone, nor does she have the delusion that she can control Malik. So, as long as their needs align for the most part, she can wait and bide her time. Because Tavor is coming back. Because the 14th is returning. But by then, shit's escalating. Okay? There is still plague. There is still famine. We're still fucked. And then Laseen looks at this and says, there's like, what, 2,000... how many wickets does Tavor have? Like 600 tops? She has like the Devil's Host, which is like 20, 30 horse warriors under like the age of 15. And then another shipment of like 600. And that's basically all the Wiccan adults that exist on the Empire right now that aren't elders. And the Kundrel, which the Kundrel are whatever, the Kundrel are there, and Malik doesn't like them because they fought his army. And Laseen looks at this and says, I can sacrifice about 600 Wiccans and however many Kundrel to feed an entire continent, to feed an entire empire. Is that a good plan? No, it has some kinks, because for one, the Wiccans are going to be tarnished forever. It's going to make Malik look like a hero. It's going to make Rubolodom look like a hero.
See, I think the bigger point is it's an extremely horrible thing to do. Yeah.
Are we talking about the same empress that culled the nobility and sent a whole bunch of children to the mines to be raped immediately?
You are the one apologizing for her.
I am apologizing for her because I'm trying to tell you what she thinks. I'm not tackling the morality of this because objectively it's terrible, but running an empire is terrible.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm just saying that no matter how you weigh this one, it's an evil choice. There is no good choice. And unless
she doesn't have a good choice. That's the thing.
She doesn't, yeah.
All her choices are bad, and she picks what she thinks, what she thinks is the lesser of two evils.
Don't you think so that if, instead of Tavor, it was Lone?
If it was Lone, Malik was dead.
Yeah, she would have just agreed. She would have gone along with Laseen's plan, and, the Wiccans obviously would have disappeared, but Laseen would have stayed on as the Empress.
Yes.
Probably got everything under control.
Yes. And Tavor, if you look at it, Tavor is playing the same game as Laseen is, because she has to choose between her army and the good of the world, or what she thinks is the good of the world.
Yeah.
And the empire that she serves. She's the adjunct of the Empress. And she makes the same choice. What she thinks is the lesser of two evils. She carves out a third choice. We can either kill our way out and essentially coup the empire and install ourselves as the emperors, or submit to Laseen's will, give up the Wiccans and the Kundrel, and have them slaughtered. Tavor does neither of those things. It's just up and leaves.
Yeah.
Laseen doesn't have a third choice. She's either, okay.
I mean, she could just stop being the Empress. She does have a choice. She doesn't take it.
Is that really okay.
There is always a choice.
Okay, she stops being the Empress and drowns and disappears. Is that good?
Why not? I mean,
genuine question.
Yeah, tell me what is the worst thing that can happen?
The Empire still goes to shit.
It anyway went to shit. So, what does it matter? See, if Laseen realized that Tavor is going to protect the Wiccans no matter what.
She did realize that quite quickly.
She did, yeah. So, when Tavor is leaving, quietly slipping away from the city, Laseen could have disappeared on the other side and Malik would have just stepped in.
Yeah, you could just have a character do something exactly contrary to everything they've done so far, just disappear.
I mean,
look, Laseen has killed the entire high command of the Empire to be Empress. She's killed Tassim, she's killed Kellerman, she's killed Tanser.
She's killed nobody. That is, we have already established this. She didn't kill anyone. She didn't do anything. The poor girl has been maligned by all his fellows. So, she didn't do anything. She just took the throne, and we still don't know what happened with Shadow Throne and Cotillion in the Night of Knives.
The point is, she made an effort to assassinate Tassim, she made an effort to assassinate Kellerman Cotillion, and for all we know she did. Maybe they died and ascended afterwards.
Good.
Why would she step down now? Why would Laseen step down after all she's done?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but I'm just saying that maybe she, Teshran. Teshran just, he's out of fucks to give, so maybe Laseen goes through the same thing at some point.
Teshran is not out of fucks to give. Teshran sees what he believes is the bigger game. He plays a bigger game than what Laseen thinks. He doesn't care about any mortal empire or anything.
Okay, so are we going to see more of Teshran in this book?
I mean, we're talking about the same empress that said an empire enforces its own necessities. and the same empress that said that a mortal empire is greater than any mortal life.
See, I'm just arguing for the sake of it. You know that.
I know that, but the point is she would never do that.
Yeah, we all know
So
that. Yeah.
to say that, she had another choice, she could just give up. Yeah, but Laseen's not going to do that. Just like Tavor could have couped the empire and killed Laseen and Malik and Corvola and just said, okay, I'm the empress now. But Tavor would never do that.
Yeah, true. Right. So, okay, you have gone on for 12 minutes. Not bad.
So you're going to cut all of this, of course.
Of course not. What?
Oh, okay.
I mean, this is like a condensed version of your essay. There must be people like me who are not reading anything, who would rather listen.
So, what else is there to talk about, really? I don't know.
That's it. I think we've covered most of it.
And
there is a citizen militia coming up in Unta, and they are trying to recruit all the old Malasan Marines. And apparently there is rumor that Raventooth has come.
Mm-hmm.
So again, one more guy who's not dead.
Yeah, we didn't actually tackle... why would Raventooth be dead?
What?
No, Raventooth recruited the recruits from the Bone Hunters, the 14th.
Yeah, but Laseen thinks he's dead.
No.
And then I think Anand makes a joke that he has sunk all his savings to get some Denul ritual to look like an oak tree or something. And then I think they have a small joke about it. That's why I'm telling you that Anand is pretty old.
Yeah, but Raventooth named Tar and Smiles and Bottle and all those people.
Yes, I know that, but Laseen thinks he's dead and then she's surprised that he's back.
Laseen's fucking stupid after all. Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh my god, this...
I mean, I don't see why she would think he's dead. Whatever.
Wait, am I mistaken? Just give me a minute. I could be wrong. We can't have you thinking that Laseen is stupid and all. Yeah, old Raventooth himself among them. Raventooth, Laseen repeated, amazed. I thought he was dead. Oh, you're still shocked that Laseen is maybe not as smart as you thought?
No, but, whatever. I mean, like I said, I don't think it matters. I'm not here to tackle Laseen's morality, because the morality of running an empire like the Malasan Empire is already difficult and best left out of an essay that tries to defend Laseen. Because if we start tackling morality, then everything looks bad, because of course it's bad, because let's be honest here, Laseen's first instinct to, when something goes bad, is call something.
Yeah, true.
Someone needs to die. Be it the Wiccans or the nobles or something.
See, if you think about it, Laseen is a claw. Imagine if instead of Kellenwood, Dancer took the throne. That's the way he would have run things, right? He would have gone around killing everyone. So, they use the skill they have. Laseen can kill people, so she goes around doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just saying, we should not tackle morality into this, because then that just get ugly.
Yeah. Okay. So, are we done?
Do you have any parting thoughts about the book and any predictions?
I have a lot of predictions.
You already said that either the Marquise or Ragman are the prince.
Yeah, go on. Laugh.
I'm not laughing, I'm just saying. I'm just recapping the audience.
all Mora's mistake. Let's highlight them. So, this is what I've written down. The Imperial Warren, I've said it's Kaz. The Claw Traitor, I'm calling it Possum, which I seriously, I'll lose it if it's Possum. And the humans in Laseen who are killing the Tilanimas, I've told you this. I think it's the guards, but I think you told me that it's not them, which I'm not convinced.
I don't think I told you this.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So, I still believe that it's a Crimson Guard who are going around killing the Tilanimas in Laseen. The Wiccan Toddler is Sormo, which obviously it's not. Yeah, Jalel. My theory is that she's being set up to be like, I don't know, nobody really cares about her. She's just a figurehead, and they're probably going to sacrifice her or, give her up as hostage or something. She's just bait, basically. Nobody wants her to, take over and to rule anything. So, I think, I don't think she's going to end well. And, she has a part where she compares herself with Laseen. And, she thinks how lonely it is for both of these women. They're supposed to rule everything, but they really don't have anything in their control.
Mm-hmm.
How lost they are or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was a nice, sad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what happened? Yeah, I can see you getting excited. What happened?
I mean, I think I've written this in the essay, that Laseen in this book is a fundamentally changed character. She's alone. Compared to Laseen in, I don't know, Guns of the Moon or The Bone Hunters.
Not Night of Knives.
Knight of Knives, Laseen is, I don't know, she's just there because she wants to kill Kellen a bit, and she wants to rule the Empire because she thinks they're doing a shit job.
So there is a big change from Knight of Knives itself, right? Because it's the same author.
Yeah, but there's like 15 years difference between the books.
Yeah, but okay, go on.
So that's attributed to a few things. One of them being, of course, we see Laseen through Possum, and Possum is much more familiar, let's say, with Laseen than...
No, Possum thinks that Topper is the one who is familiar with her, and he feels bad that he can't really, talk to her as easily as Topper or Pearl do.
Pearl, he says that he does say that what Pearl did was like oral flatulence or something. He's not wrong.
Poor Pearl, leave him alone.
So Possum is, well, he's more closely affiliated with us because he's been there since Ziggurat. Like we saw him Knight of Knives try to kill Dassam. He's been a claw for a while. He knows Laseen. He might not be close to her like Topper was, but he knows her. He understands, to some degree, understands her.
Yeah.
And through Possum's eyes, we see how alone she feels and how betrayed she feels and how, when I said earlier with Janelle and Zanelle that she thought we had a mutual understanding. And look at me now, Of course, and what I think is important to understand is that Laseen cannot show this, okay?
Yeah.
When Possum tells Laseen that the disturbance in the city plains is Talk the Elder.
Yeah.
Possum remarks on how, what's the word I want? You remember the scene, right? I'm not talking about my ass.
Yeah.
Like, not Topper. Possum sees how strange she feels. And how she fights to keep her voice under control. And she tells him to leave.
Yeah.
And then Possum exits,
Yeah.
sees two guards, and then turns very gently, delicately says, "The Empress does not wish to be disturbed."
True, yeah. Possum is a nice man. Yeah.
Because Possum understands that Laseen just got dumbfounded, blindsided, like, holy shit, not him too.
Yes, yeah.
And he understands that, how profoundly alone she must feel. We don't see that with other people. We don't see that with Fiddler or Kalam who go to kill her. We don't see that with Ganos who, God forbid, goes to the Empress and says, "Hi, I'm a lieutenant."
No, but see, the thing is, it's not a fundamentally changed character, but this is the first time we see a sympathetic character's POV. Someone who is, sympathetic to
I think
Laseen.
it's changed precisely because of all the betrayals, because of the loss of the 14th, and the loss of Kalam, and the loss of Tapo.
No, I'm saying that the POVs in Knight of Knives or all the other books, none of them really care about Laseen as a person. And Possum is the only one who treats her human, right?
Yeah.
So, I
know.
don't think it's the character herself who has changed.
I do.
We've had this discussion before, so, yeah. It's the portrayal of the character and not the character. And yeah, we've done this
It
before.
is part of it. It is a big part of it. I think, well, I've already talked about it. Like, it's, first of all, the author is different because Erickson portrays Laseen way different than what Eiselman does.
I'm just sticking to Knight of Knives and Return.
Yeah. Well, I haven't read past Ascendancy either, right? So I don't know.
I wanted to ask you, during your essay discussions, do people come to you and ask you about PTA? Are there contradictions between your...
I have not been let known of anything like that, and I basically said that I'm not going to take into account in my essay Surly or Sureth, as you know, BTA. I only care from when she takes the name of Laseen, which has gone to the moon, onward.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So maybe there is contradiction, just nobody tells me.
Yeah.
So, to conclude about Laseen, because I'm already going too long about her.
We are not to conclude the first half of Return of the Crimson Guard, right?
We're going to get to that, but I want to first conclude about Laseen because I've been talking about her a while, and what I mean is, she is, you've seen this. You said she's badass, right? But we've never seen her do this before. Why does she do it? Because she has no one. Because she can only trust herself at this point. Because she's alone, and she understands that she's boned. Because the war's gone, because Kalam's gone, because Tobar's gone. All of these people are gone. Anand can't do it himself, because Korbola outranks him. So she takes command of the army. She marches west to Li Heng. She entrusts Possum to find the traitors.
And she leaves Malik in charge of Unta.
She leaves Malik. And Possum, she tasks Possum with finding who causes descent, and Possum investigates into the claw and who is, the traitor and all of that.
Wait. Yeah, that has not happened yet.
Okay, fine. She asks Possum early in the book to go find who causes descent. And you said there was a conversation that Chava had with Possum about Laseen being too unapproachable to tell her so they can't tell her who
I
is
think
the
that was
betrayer.
just Hava's thoughts. I don't think they discussed it outright. I'm not sure.
They don't discuss it? Whatever. The point, So in this book, Laseen goes through basically everything imaginable. There's the Crimson Guard returning, there's Italian League, there's revolts, Smiley, there's the claws. And her first instinct is, you know what, sod it. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to leave this empire be. I'm not going to go drown like the Nappans did. I'm not going to leave the empire for 2 years like Helenvet did. I'm going to take the field, and I'm going to go kick some ass. And
that she does, yeah. That
she might be reprehensible. She might be terrible. She might be cold and ruthless. But god damn it, at least she has something to stick to. And
no, but then who is it cold and horrible and reprehensible? There are no stand-up guys so far. So, but then as you say, she's the only one who has actually stepped up to the challenge.
And that takes balls. That takes cojones. That takes courage.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
True.
Even if I find her to be cold and reprehensible and terrible. And I do. So
yeah, I think the second part is going to be even more interesting.
Yeah. So that's about the Imperials. We had a discussion about the Crimson Guard that I found pretty interesting. And is there more you want to add about the Guard? And Kyle and...
No, there is just one thing where they're passing the Storm Riders. And the riders somewhat salute Greymane. And then, Kyle has a thing that, Greymane teases Kyle probably that they're saluting you and all. So I don't know. Greymane is something interesting. I don't know. Is there more?
I don't know, maybe.
No, I just wanted to consolidate all these others, all these storylines that are going on. It's somewhat hard to keep everything on track. So, and I had to take a break from the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought we'll just sort of brush up on all the things happening before continuing.
Okay. Is there anything that stood out to you in this book particularly that you'd like to highlight?
I don't know. You don't want to hear it, but Laseen is the one that stood out to me. Totally. The second thing is probably, I like the, what do you call it? I like all the mystery built into the story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm piecing everything together and I don't know whether I'm right or wrong. Like all this thing about Kyle's sword, we just get hints here and there. And I think that there is some power there in the sword. And I don't know what that is. And Eriko is sort of scared of its sword.
And Eriko says Kyle is Soldier of Light, right?
Yeah. I think one of the deck readings show them that Kyle is now the Soldier of Light. So, I don't know. All this is just dropped here and there. And you really have to piece them together.
It's good, I think. I think you might agree that it's good.
It's very good, yeah. Actually, was it last July when God Is Not Willing came out?
I think so.
So it's been almost like a year since I read a Malazan book for the first time. So I all others have been rereads, right? So I'm having a lot of fun now because I'm completely lost. Everything is new to me, and seriously, it's been a while.
The classic feeling of Malazan.
Exactly, yeah, and I'm still pissed that is not Iron Bars from Umring. I don't want to believe you. I'm 100% behind that theory, so let's see. I mean, it's so obvious. Timmel gives them a raft and then these guys end up on a raft and they come over to the ship and fight the Segule. How can there be two separate groups doing the same thing? No, doesn't matter. I'll find out. So this is what I mean. This is what I'm having fun with. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, I think you may have noticed that I haven't read the book yet. Again. So I'm going a bit off memory. I'm sorry. But
That's okay.
It might be because I'm viewing the book through rose-tinted glasses. And it might be because I've looked into some reviews from others before starting this episode. But when I first read this book, I was fucking dumbfounded. Completely. I had no idea what was going on. I just went along for the ride. I thought the Crimson Guard was cool. I still do. I just kind of went along with it. Now, after finishing the Book of the Fallen, after finishing the Novels of Mars and Empire, this book, wow. A lot of people have discovered it as a mess. It's not perfect, okay? But It's very important.
The thing is, I feel you can't be prepared for this type of a book. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you think going in, it's just impossible. Like every page is a new storyline. Every single thing is something new happening, and you have to think back to when you saw these characters last, and then correlate what is happening between them. And the only way I'm keeping at least I'm not saying that I have everything sorted out in my mind.
Of course you do.
No, but whatever is happening is because I've taken all these notes.
Yeah.
It's pretty impossible otherwise. And yeah, so obviously it slows me down a lot. But I don't know, it's worth it, I feel. It's totally worth it.
So, what I was saying earlier is this book is really important in general for like everything. For this series, also Malazan Empire, it fills you in on what happened in the Book of the Fallen because, okay, cool, the Bone Hunters went from Malazile, left for a year, and then suddenly halfway through the book they appear in leather. Cool.
Yeah.
But what the fuck happened? That's like the last we hear of the Malazan Empire because the Force says we're never coming back. Gano says that we're never coming back.
Yeah.
Well, technically Gano doesn't say it, the narrator does. It says they're never going to return to Seven Cities, but digressing. This book not only sets up the future of the series, the novels of Malazan Empire, because we have to start somewhere, and Night of Knives is mostly a standalone book. This is the true start of the series.
Yeah.
This is where everything stems from. And it is dense. It is really dense. It is stupendously dense. But it's so important.
True.
And it's so worth a read. And a reread, because you're not going to understand everything the first time. So, a lot of people rank this relatively low on their list of Malazan books in general. I don't agree with... Oh, actually, no, I do agree with that. But I think I sold the book short because I didn't understand what the hell was going on at the time. And the themes that are explored in this book are really interesting. But we're gonna get that after we finish the book because I can't get into it now.
Yeah, we can't do themes now.
But they're really interesting. One theme that I can obviously mention is Jalel, which is being used, like you mentioned, as a figurehead. She's been set up. I don't know. I really like this book, and I was surprised to find that I like this book. Because I didn't love it the first time around, and I didn't read it again. But then I read your notes, and I watched some reviews, and I read the wiki, and I'm like, oh, this book's really good apparently. So.
Also, this change of mind is very recent, is it?
I didn't like it much because I think a lot of these storylines are kind of optional, and the way they're treated is a bit clumsy. Some of them aren't. I think.
Can I just please? I have
yes.
to. What do you mean by optional storylines?
Do we need to see Kyle being drowned to learn how to swim?
The author wants to tell a story in a certain way. He's going to tell it in a certain way. I trust them. Whether it needed to be said or not is not a decision that we get to make.
Yes, but I don't have to like what I'm reading if it's a feel. It's a.
You don't have to like it, but we are not the ones who can judge whether this is necessary.
I'm not judging if it's necessary or not. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, I think it's optional. A lot of Kyle's early storyline is justifiably annoying to some people. I get it.
Poor Kyle. See, I don't know. I the same whatever I felt with Kiska, the same thing has sort of happened here too. Because I again didn't want to read some young MC character going around learning stuff and all that. But SL1 makes it so nuanced, and Kyle is not annoying at all. So
there is nuance. There is
he is not annoying. Did you find Kyle annoying?
I didn't. Others did. I didn't. I don't have a problem with Kyle.
It's quite normal the way he's portrayed. So I don't have an issue with him.
I could live without some of those scenes. I think Kyle's later arc in the book is, I think when he finds Traveler onward, it's really good. It's good.
Can I just, because you were asking about that swimming scene, sort of Jalel goes through the same thing too. Like even she doesn't know swimming and she...
Go on, just...
Was that also optional?
Go on.
No, I just wanted to ask whether do you think that scene was also optional?
I think Jalel is more important to the overall storyline than Kyle is. Because Kyle's a new recruit, whereas Jalel is the figurehead that's been used to portray Italian League.
But then Kyle is the soldier of light and he carries this sword. And
we don't know that when he's being drowned in the goddamn pond.
His sword thing happens much before all his drowning.
Yeah, but we don't know that he's a soldier of light by then.
Yeah, but we know that something happened and, why is his sword etched on both sides? And where did the father wind figure disappear? And what happened?
Okay, fine. Alright, I think that's all. I don't have anything more to add. I just didn't particularly love early Kyle's storyline. I think that's what kind of turned me off the book. So, for the sake of Mora's voice, we will end this discussion here. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed our talk.
We would love to hear back from you. So, if you have anything to say at all, just reach out to us. We have a Twitter and obviously we are on Reddit. I'll add the links in the description.
Thank you, Mora, for your time. Just thank you for your time. Thank you for indulging me, and have a great day.
You too, Lee. Thank you.